This video is going to show what a DCI audio team does when something doesn't go right. I know it's easy to see these systems that are, thousands and thousands of dollars and all these audio crew, and you think it just works all the time. And so we had an issue on semifinals where we had an issue with our wireless mic. We thought it was interference, and it ended up being the batteries not seating correctly, which showed in wireless workbench as interference. So I grabbed the video and I just kind of wanted to narrate through kind of everything that went down. So if you look down here, this is our A2. Our A1 Griffin was like, hey, go, we have interference. Go check to the wireless coordinator. All right, so he went all the way down here. You can see he's moving quickly. And so what he's doing here is he's saying, hey, we're having interference on this frequency, on that frequency. Are they clean? Is anyone stepping on them? And so he's talking with them and trying to get it all figured out. Unfortunately, the pre-show had already started, so we were a little bit past the point of return. So you can hear this soloist right here. It's cutting in and out. It's funny though, on flow you can hear the reverb and the delay feed coming through cleanly, even though it cuts out, the reverb is still going. So the issue is that this same trumpet player, the show kind of ends the same way, and he has the same solo, and so we knew we had to get something figured out by the end of the show, because you can't end the show without that solo. So we skip down a little bit. You can see our A2 Ethan here. He's coming back from talking to the frequency coordinator, and what we heard was that everything's clean, no one's stepping on your frequencies. And so at that point we know, like, okay, there's nothing really we can do. And so you can see a little bit later, he gets on his phone and he calls me. I'm upstairs, and so he's basically saying, like, hey, this is what happened. It was good, on the at the gate when we checked in, there was no interference, and then once we got kind of on the field, stuff was kind of lighting up and said interference, and obviously it didn't work. And so he's on right here, he's got wireless workbench, and so we're talking through, like, hey, is it saying this, is it saying that, what's it doing? At this point we're still thinking, like, okay, maybe it was just a dead spot, maybe it's an intermittent issue and it'll resolve itself, and just trying to get all the information we can. Thankfully we've got the whole show to figure it out, and we've got here that wireless soloist just happened. He was looking at wireless workbench and making sure that everything for the other soloists was working. You can see there he left to kind of give me all the information, say what's happening, it's not happening. Fast forward here, he's coming back and he's like, okay, we talked, this is, what's the plan, what are we gonna do? And so at this point, we're still thinking, like, maybe it'll come on, maybe it not. And I was up in the box and I was thinking, okay, if it doesn't go back on, what can we do? And then I know we've got, there's a field mic here, and then there's a stereo pair here that we use for the muted trumpets. And so it was like, okay, if this wireless mic is not going to go, then we need to come up with a second plan. So meanwhile, Griffin, our A1, is just mixing the show. He's doing his job, and really Ethan is the one kind of troubleshooting this stuff. And so they're talking back to kind of, we had preliminarily, I just told him now, like, hey, be ready, we might have to use that mic. So right here is where, like, I called him back and I was like, hey, because at this point the trumpet player's been moving around the field. I was like, do we have it? Like, is it good? Or, like, we got to go to plan B. And it was like, yeah, that wireless, it's not going to happen. And I was like, okay, here's what we need to do. We need to somehow, at the end of the show, flag down our soloist and get them to this mic. And we need to make sure that, it's routed correctly in the scene, and that it has a little bit of reverb. And then if we could, if we have time, to copy and paste the EQ. So I'm just kind of giving Ethan, our A2 here, just the plan, because he's going to be ultimately the one who's going to need to, you know, flag him down. But I didn't, and now, meanwhile, our ensemble coordinator is still, you know, mixing the show from the box, telling our A1 Griffin, like, hey, this is, you know, more trumpets here, less pit, whatever. And so I didn't want to talk to him when he's mixing the show, because coming up right here is our little ballad trio where we've got a flugel back here, a flugel here, and a trumpet up here. And it's probably the hardest part of the show to mix. So we kind of had the plan in place. We knew what it was, but we were waiting. And so we've got a little, there's one here, there's one here. You can see he's mixing, he's doing his thing. Ethan, our A2, still kind of down here, just waiting. We're talking, he has a plan. And then you can see, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. You can see he comes back. You know, this is after that trio where kind of, this is one of the more easier parts. You know, there's no more soloists, there's not field mics here. Like, it's just pretty straightforward. And he's talking to them. And then I grabbed the mic from the ensemble coordinator and I was like, Griffin, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what you do. There's a big thumbs up. I love that moment. Big thumbs up from Griffin where it's like, yeah, we got it. We're good. Let's see if we can catch it here. There it is. Nice. So we go through the ballad, and then now Ethan was a late fill-in, so he was actually one of our audio guys last year, but couldn't tour this year, and we had someone who had to go home early for work reasons, and so he just jumped in at the last second. He wasn't, you know, he's not a drum corps guy, and so according to the rules, you're not really allowed to kind of go in front of this 15-foot pit line. And so I was like, hey, you know, make sure you like, I told him right here with these cameras, like, that's kind of the zone you want to go. And so here he's talking with JW, our core director, and kind of working out like, hey, this is what Eric wants me to do. Like, how can I do that? There's another thumbs up. I think I told him like, hey, make sure like it's sending down this thing. He's like, yeah, I got it. So they're kind of talking about where can we go? What's the best way to do it? You can see they're pre-staging. They're talking. He's like, hey, maybe over here. Now, of course, like there's this stuff going on right here. So they're not trying to get in the way and make it obvious. You know, that's the last thing you want is to run around and be frantic. And then people know like, oh, something's going on. Like people are running, right? So they're just staying against the wall, trying to be, you know, as inconspicuous as possible. So we go here, closer's almost over, and then they get a little bit closer. And so right here, our trumpet soloist ultimately is here and kind of parts the Red Sea, as it were. And I'll turn the volume up here. Now, this is the coolest part of the whole thing. So this performer had no idea we were doing this. It's not something we've practiced. And honestly, I think it's the first really big R issue we had all summer. So, you know, not used to it. And you can see, and I'll turn the volume up so you can hear him yell, but watch, like he still does all his choreography. He doesn't break it all. He still stays in the moment. He says, hey, go to that mic, go to the mic. And he's still doing his thing. And originally he's supposed to get back on the stage like he was in the beginning and for the end. So this hit happens. And then he just walks up to the mic. Griffin, he's got it all dialed up. Comes in. If you're in the audience, you'd have no idea any of that stuff. Pretty cool. I'm going to back it up just a little bit because I missed it when it first happened. So, you know, we told the team, hey, this is the plan, but like you still have to do it. And obviously you can't adjust a scene when you're not in it. So he had to wait until he was in that last scene to adjust. So you can kind of see he's about to take the next cue, and then you can see him. He's going through the layers. He's adjusting. I think this right here is the last scene. Yeah. So, yeah. It's mixing all the faders, doing the sends, double checking the EQ, making sure it's all good. So this is a really cool example of just teamwork, and having things in place. And again, this is not something we prepared for. This is not something, we had set up beforehand. But I was actually talking with Griffin today. I was like, hey, did you add it into the flow sends? Because it came down the direct feed, it sounded clear. But like when we set up the console file in the beginning of the year, we just routed everything and made it post fader so that whenever it was turned on, it would go down to the feed. So like we didn't have to reprogram that. And these field mics, they're and this mic right here, their default, routing, panning, all that stuff just kind of stays throughout the show. So really all he had to do was, add a little reverb, because the other moment I think didn't really have a whole lot on it. And bring the fader up, and off we went. So this was, exciting and not the way maybe you want, but I'm just really proud of the team. And they, none of them were freaking out. Everyone was calm. Everyone was trying to find a solution. We went through all our steps. We went to the frequency coordinator. We checked wireless workbench. We tried to make, the plan one happen as much as we could. It didn't. We came up with a plan B quickly. We implemented it, and, the show must go on, as it were. So hope you guys enjoy this. Hope it's interesting. Have a good one. Bye.